China made international headlines when it revealed that it had constructed a fully operational 1,500-room hospital in just 5 days, in response to a COVID-19 surge in the city of Nangong in the province of Hubei. This amazing feat of engineering and logistics was put into action. It brought up memories of a time earlier in the pandemic when construction workers in Wuhan built a hospital with 1,000 beds in just over a week. In this video, we'll be looking into all the aspects of how China builds so fast. But before that, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon for more amazing content. Let's get started. How China builds so fast? Even now, amid the coronavirus, China's intrepid builders are working shockingly swiftly to build skyscrapers and high-speed rail bridges, in addition to erecting hospitals at a breakneck pace. We're asking exactly how China develops so quickly today while donning our hard hats. Hundreds of millions of people have been pulled out of poverty by China's modern economic boom, which is nothing short of astounding. More quickly than any other civilization in human history, it urbanized its populace and built some pretty amazing infrastructure. Not least among the landmarks along the way are the biggest airport, the largest dam, and a veritable forest of brand new buildings. The People's Republic is light years ahead of any other nation on Earth thanks to its investment of over $300 billion in about 40,000 kilometers of high-speed train infrastructure, and demonstrating its dedication to a future for its 1.5 billion residents focused on sustainable public transportation. When you take into account that the project only actually began in 2008. So how are they accomplishing it so quickly? A big part of the answer rests in amazing technology. For example, consider the cleverly titled SLJ-900, also known as the Iron Monster, and created by Beijing's Wonder Joint Equipment Company and built by the Xizang Railway Design Institute. Because of China's frequently rocky environment and extensive rail network, it serves as the template for railroad building. Heavy-duty cranes are used to construct these elevated bridges, which must rise in the bridge or viaduct. These elevated cranes are then assembled. The span rises to wedge the iron mons in position, and the iron mons are finished on its 64 wheels. The bridge element operates in a distinctly different manner, using 64 wheels on 64 wheels to enter a lengthy piece of the slide and then to position the new bridge on the blank, followed by the span. After that, a monster scroll was stopped so that the temporary factory next to the next portion could be collected. The 91 meters long, 580-ton beast that makes up the temporary factory not only works faster and more efficiently for the railway, but it also looks great. Technology that is more convenient than conventional technology. Similar to the enormous 9.1 miles Hubei bridge that is now being built in Kunlun, Southeast Kunlun, Southeast, has a solely heft of these all-around machineries of 1,000 tons of the box girder. Set much higher expectations for them than you would during training. It is anticipated that the train will be extremely safe when completely injured in any of these orbits traveling between 120 and 220 miles per hour. The commuter distance would decrease by 350 miles starting around 2025 because of the prototype maglev that is now being tested around Shanghai. Another area where China excel is reportedly deploying equipment with independent German engineering advertisers is the tunnel. These machines merely have boring machines and only cost $10 million per day for 10 meters. You will need $50 million to access China's railway network because, although its lightning-fast hospital building construction technology is only one aspect of China's political nature, it may be costly before you comprehend the 1-kilometer tunnel of the United States. And the most crucial element might be the regulatory structures. In the case of how to swiftly build, there is a similar project in any typical Western country in the West, comparing the procedure of setting up high-speed trains in China, and has laid a full feasibility analysis on a 1-meter track entrustment exercise. If the line is beneficial and there isn't a remote chance for profit, the government will support the establishment of a railway, especially if there isn't much of a population there. An example of this is the Dragon-Zhu-Xi'an Railway. In 2016, high-speed rail operated 3 billion trains, but there were also millions of dollars worth of additional issues, such as extreme weather conditions and damage to Guangzhou's lines, which increased maintenance expenses and eliminated the honoring industry's earnings. It is concerning because it's frequently expensive and it may even result in a sentence of a few years, decades, or even centuries. The essence of electoral politics implies that Western leaders frequently do not want to sign potentially unfavorable plans, even if the government decides it wants to land so badly that it will only accept the least compensation. For instance, the Iron Path, if a major noisy architectural project may disturb any politician defending a slider in an approaching election, will try to avoid this challenging choice. This mentioned China's significant amount of time. The senior leader does not have to respond to the constituents entirely differently, making arrangements that will suit everyone's preferences, but China's long-term perspective has advantages for the Chinese government's building business. Since they can confidently invest time and money to develop knowledge, adequate profit-penetrating iron monsters will follow and prove all R&D expenses. China's Strong Vision 2013, the railway infrastructure was announced during the 2016 railway infrastructure to spend 2.8 trillion yuan in Beijing-Wao joint machinery. A massive program known as the Belt and Road Project was unveiled by Chinese President Xi Jinping in 2013 with a target date of May 2017 for Asia, Europe and Africa. Establishing a modern railway road and shipping municipality railway construction in China, utilizing Mombasa and Nairobi's Chinese machine modern tracks along the Kenyan countryside for 700 meters each day has taken 18 months. In advance, it should be noted that not every building project is a promise from the public sector to ensure the prosperity of the nation in the case of a private firm, but rather a flourishing economy. A skyscraper machine, also known as a wall-climbing monster and created and constructed by Chinese engineers, was welcomed by building businesses and engineers due to the enormous urbanization that has made it possible for them to generate beautiful and innovative results in this area. For their brainchild 2010 biomoth to be used upstairs, they archived at least 8 patents. The upstairs uses 100 flies. Each wall-climbing monster is at least 528 meters from China's tallest tower. Family, rather than allowing its enrollment in the Western critics, also refers to China's rights to the rights of poor people of construction safety roads and signals that the hospital erected in 5 days may appear fantastic. This promotional video, it might not stand the test of time. Why does it take roughly 28 days for poured concrete to cure and dry out? Whatever the reasons for any cracks, this process invariably leads to bigger issues. Poured concrete makes up practically all modern buildings. In the spring, the British London Excel Convention Centre will be changed into a high-tech hospital. According to the author of the title, the popularity will eventually revert to its old usage of Excel, which is unquestionably more sustainable and economical. There is still debate over the perspective, which is that China's rapid architecture is a miracle ambitious new technology with a little budget and unheard of complicated central planning when people may be intelligent and capable, and this is the greatest challenge of our time. Simply put, there aren't enough CAD specialists in the world to create blueprints for even one of their mega projects. Accordingly, they essentially design up to the schematic 30% stage using a model, after which they begin construction. Of course, many developing nations are renowned for just planning to be under 10% stage and then sorting it out during construction, frequently with dreadful underqualified construction managers. This is not how Chinese people are. Projects are divided into model portions depending on the topography and engineering fixes for the terrain, and design teams work out the details as they go. Since they divide projects into portions, they work in them in parallel rather than in sequence, and their only concern before beginning is that difficulties can be solved. This illustrates a distinct, less risk-averse culture. They do not believe that every minor detail-related design issue must be resolved before they begin. They also employ on-site methods that Roman engineers would be familiar with, using a GPS and other surveying tools on wheelbarrows and other equipment, peg sites out by eye, and lay them out peg to peg. A modular prototype basis for their ideas helps with this. For instance, railway embankments are designed with a standard, intentionally somewhat over-engineered grade so that slope stability does not need to be redesigned and recalculated for every place on the track. With this method, they can maintain consistency between the built levels and the model since they are aware of how the model and prototype design function. They simply peg out and build by eye utilizing total stations. To expedite the final stages of building, they also employ every engineering technique. Consider the use of prefabricated steel rails and bases on railroads where the entire electrical infrastructure is constructed at the same time. After completing a 57-story skyscraper in just 19 working days, the Chinese construction business Broad Sustainable Building declared itself the fastest in the world in April 2015. The prefabricated construction company, which prepared 90% of the structure at the factory before site work started, then put together the final 10% of the structure like a jigsaw puzzle on the job site. One of China's main economic drivers is housing, but analysts have cautioned that declining property values and investment returns could be signs of a larger issue with the economy. The National Bureau of Statistics (NBS) data showed that property investment increased 5.3% from a year earlier in January to July, dropping from an increase of 6.1% in January to June in 2015. Property sales increased 26.4% per square foot, down from 27.9%. As stated in a research paper on China by Fathom Consulting, the stock of unsold property in China has expanded in recent years, but a new development has nonetheless continued despite this. The stock of work in progress continues to grow as starts outstrip revenues, and the time needed to complete a project has increased significantly. That's it, guys. China has high dynamics, with salaries only slightly rising against a backdrop of stable prices and company taxes. As a result, employees are happy and secure. If the construction rules are not followed, the object's quality is quite questionable. If you like this video, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon. Leave a like, share it with your friends and families, and pin down your thoughts in the comment section below.